A man escaped with handcuffs still on his wrists. He led police to apartment 213. They opened the refrigerator. Inside was a 3-human head and limbs. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the Oxford Apartments, a plain building where working-class families lived their ordinary lives. Jeffrey Dahmer lived in apartment 213. He was 31, worked at a chocolate factory, kept to himself, always paid rent on time. Neighbors said he was quiet and polite, but they complained about a terrible smell coming from his apartment. Dahmer told them his freezer broke and meat went bad. Unfortunately, it wasn't animal meat. The night of incident, 11:30 p.m., Tracy Edwards ran into the street screaming for help. He was shirtless and had a handcuff hanging from his wrist. 2 police officers stopped their patrol car. First alarm, 15 seconds. Tracy was shaking. He tried to kill me. He has knives everywhere. You need to see his apartment. There's something in his refrigerator. Officers Routh and Muller thought it was a fight between roommates. They'd answered calls at this building before for noise complaints. They followed Tracy to apartment 213. Escalation. Dahmer answered the door. He was calm and said, "Officers, we just had an argument. Let me get the key for those handcuffs." He walked toward his bedroom. Officer Routh followed him. On the nightstand were Polaroid photographs. Routh picked one up. It showed a human body in pieces. Different photos showed different stages of dismemberment. Routh's training kicked in. He shouted, "Put your hands behind your back now." Dahmer tried to fight. Both officers wrestled him to the ground. The chilling detail. They searched the apartment. The refrigerator held a human head in a box. The freezer contained 3 more heads and a torso. Inside a filing cabinet, a complete human skeleton. On the stove, a pot with decomposing hands inside. In a closet, a barrel of acid with 3 dissolved bodies. 74 Polaroid photographs documented everything he'd done to his victims. Officer Muller ran to the hallway and threw up. His voice was shaking. Officer Routh radioed for backup. The investigation and twist. Milwaukee homicide detectives had never seen anything like this. Dahmer didn't ask for a lawyer. He just started confessing. When detectives asked how many people he'd killed, Dahmer said 17. The murders happened over 13 years, from 1978 to 1991. His victims were young men between ages 14 and 33. Most were men of color. Dahmer would meet them at bars, bus stops, or shopping centers. He'd offer money for photos or drinks at his place. Once they entered apartment 213, none of them left alive. Complications? Detectives discovered something that made them sick. 2 months before his arrest, a 14-year-old boy named Konarak Synthasamphone escaped from Dahmer's apartment. He was naked, bleeding, and drugged. 3 women saw him and called 911. Police arrived. Dahmer told officers the boy was his 19-year-old boyfriend who'd had too much to drink. The officers believed Dahmer. They walked Konarak back into apartment 213 and left. Dahmer murdered Konarak within the hour. Police found his skull 2 months later during the search. The breakthrough. The case only broke because one man fought back. Tracy Edwards stayed alert even though Dahmer had drugged him. He waited for the right moment. He fought his way out. He ran. Tracy Edwards was supposed to be victim number 18. He chose to be the survivor who ended it. The twist. Here's what made investigators furious. The system had caught Dahmer before, multiple times. In 1988, he was convicted of sexually assaulting Konarak's older brother. He served 10 months in prison. In 1986, he was arrested for exposing himself to children. He got probation. When he was a teenager, he was caught bringing animal bones to school. His father taught him how to bleach bones because they shared an interest in taxidermy. This wasn't a man who suddenly snapped. This was someone who spent 13 years escalating. And every time the system caught him, they let him go. Resolution and haunting. Payoff. February 1992. Jeffrey Dahmer's trial. He pleaded guilty to 15 murders in Wisconsin. His lawyers argued he was insane. The jury disagreed. They said he knew exactly what he was doing. The judge gave him 15 consecutive life sentences. That's 957 years in prison. Wisconsin doesn't have the death penalty. It was abolished in 1853. Dahmer would spend the rest of his life in prison. He lasted less than 3 years. The human cost. 17 families lost someone they loved. Many victims were men of color whose families had filed missing persons reports that police didn't prioritize. Conorak Synthasomphone's family sued the Milwaukee Police Department. The city settled for $850,000. The Oxford apartments were demolished in 1992. The land sits empty today. Nobody will build there. The lingering question. Even in prison, Dahmer kept playing his game. November 28, 1994, Columbia Correctional Institution. Dahmer was assigned to clean the prison bathrooms with 2 other inmates. One of them was Christopher Scarver. Scarver beat Dahmer to death with a metal bar from the prison gym. Later, Scarver told reporters that Dahmer would shape his prison food to look like severed limbs and pour ketchup on them like blood. He would leave them around the prison to disturb other inmates. The haunting detail. Before he died, Dahmer did one final interview. The reporter asked him why he did it. Dahmer said, "I didn't want them to leave. I wanted them to stay with me." So he drugged them, killed them, tried to perform surgeries on their brains while they were still alive. He wanted to create people who would never leave him. 17 men died because one person was lonely. Final reflection. Stephen Mark Hicks, Stephen Walter Twomey, Jamie Dockstader, Richard Guerrero, Anthony Sears, Ricky Beeks, Edward Smith, Ernest Miller, David Thomas, Curtis Straughter, Errol Lindsay, Tony Hughes, Conorak Synthasophone, Matt Turner, Jeremiah Weinberger, Oliver Lacey, Joseph Braidhoft. 17 names. 17 people with families and futures. Jeffrey Dahmer started with small things, dead animals, violent fantasies, then one murder, then another. Each time he got away with it, he became bolder. The system caught him 3 times before apartment 213. 3 times they had the chance to stop him. 3 times they didn't. The question isn't just what made Jeffrey Dahmer a killer. The question is, how many red flags did we ignore?